Hey y'all, welcome to In the Kitchen with Baker Girl. Thank you, Jesus. It is a beautiful day to be in the kitchen, and I am so delighted to share one of my childhood recipes that I grew up eating. My mother cooked all the time, and that is cheesy grits. Now, I'm starting off with 1 cup of stone ground yellow grits, and I'm using a combination of water and milk. Now, my grits, because they're stone ground, organic, and all those lovely things, they do have little bits of grit to them. So just take a skimmer and skim that away. Now, you're whisking. At this point, you're doing a lot of whisking and a lot of whisking and more whisking and more whisking and more whisking. But this is absolutely necessary. If you don't properly whisk grits, they will be lumpy and they won't be nice and smooth and creamy. Now, as soon as those grits come to a bubble, and when they start to spit, put a lid on them immediately. Turn your heat down to the lowest setting, just like you're cooking rice, and just let them cook. Now, while my grits was peacefully cooking, I went ahead and seasoned up my chicken. This is for my creamy chicken and peas. So I'm using some black pepper, some all-purpose seasoning, some, of course, chicken and bouillon, my Za'tar, the spice blend, the whole spice. And the chicken is just seasoned fairly simply. You can use whatever type of seasoning you prefer. This is just what I prefer to use. Now, to cook the chicken, I'm using some of my homemade garlic oil. And I'm just putting the chicken in there. These are chicken thighs, by the way, that I cut into kind of random, small-ish pieces. I don't like gigantic pieces of meat. Now, the grits are still cooking, by the way. While I'm cooking the chicken, I'm also cooking the grits, because this is how my mama did it. Grits was never just cooked by themselves. So when your chicken is nicely browned on one side, go ahead and turn it over, and then I add in a thinly sliced onion and a thinly sliced red bell pepper. I also spooned in a couple of cloves of that roasted garlic. Now I am adding in about 1/4 cup of, these are sun-dried tomatoes, very delicious. Don't skip the sun-dried tomatoes. It makes a huge difference in this dish. These are the thinly sliced sun-dried tomatoes. If yours come unsliced, go ahead and slice them up. Now I'm adding in about 1/2 cup of my homemade chicken stock. Put a lid on it and let the chicken cook until it simmers. Now this is the creamy part, because grits are rich and a bit of a treat and indulgence. I didn't want to add cream to my chicken, so I'm using some low-fat cottage cheese. And if you use an immersion blender and puree it, you really can't tell the difference between cottage cheese and heavy cream. Now, once the chicken is cooked through, and I mean completely cooked at this point, go ahead and add in a couple of handfuls of frozen peas. You can sub out the peas with spinach, whatever you happen to have. I wanted peas, so I added peas. Now, turn off the heat and add the blended cottage cheese. Don't have the heat on at this point because your cottage cheese could split. Just like if you were adding, like heavy cream or yogurt or something. Which you probably could use yogurt for this recipe if you wanted to, or if that's what you have. Now, when the grits are cooked, oh, they are so yummy looking. Taste them. Always taste your grits. They need more salt than you think. And I just like a little bit of black pepper. My mama didn't use a lot of black pepper in her grits, and I don't either. Now, butter. Do you hear me? Butter. Butter. Butter goes in grits. If you are not putting butter in grits, you are not eating properly cooked Southern style grits. So add some butter. Now, taste the grits again. Always taste your grits. And I learned this from Mama, because grits sometimes, there we go, they need more salt. And then, of course, add in your cheese. Now, here's the thing about the cheese, and I learned this from Mom. Put the cheese in, give it a teeny tiny stir, and then put the lid on it and don't stir. If you stir the cheese, incorporate it completely into the grits, and then let them sit, the cheese can stick. And you don't want it to do that, because at this point, these grits are still boiling hot. So let the cheese melt unstirred, and then take the lid off and whisk. And by the way, with the butter, you want to make sure you whisk that butter in completely too. That's the secret to the creaminess. Now, ladle yourself up a plate of chicken and grits. And this was my dinner, because the food went like bam. And I got no second helpings. The chicken, it was gone. But anyway, Thank you, Jesus. That bite was delicious. And I'm laughing because it tastes just like my mama's. It tastes just like my mama's. So my mother's memory to me is a blessing. And I hope and pray that the food that she cooked that I pass on to you will be a blessing to you as well. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. The recipe is in the description below. And the good Lord willing, I will see you guys again in another video. Now, enough talking. Get in the kitchen and go cook yourself some Southern style, cheesy, creamy, homemade chicken and grits. You will not be disappointed. Take care, y'all. Bye.